Types of spirits. And this has got to be one of my favorite courses to teach because, hey, there are not just higher deities and past loved ones and demons and angels. There's so much more out there. And hey, the more you understand about that, the less likely you are to be afraid. Understanding is how you are able to get through the fear. I know from experience. The first grouping I'm going to talk about is just energy, or another way that I refer to this is a thought form spirit. So how to go into energy? Here's the best way I can describe it. Have you ever walked into a place and you just get a vibe about it? It might not be that anybody's even there. So it's not so much the people that you're picking up on, it is truly the space that you're in. Examples like this might be walking into a place and getting the feeling of reverence, perhaps feeling a feeling of peace. I know that I have felt that in places where I feel comfortable simply being myself and being able to open up to spirit in a way that is more open-minded. Another way you might feel this, which is different, is perhaps a hospital. Do you ever get that weird gut feeling when you go to a hospital? You may be getting that feeling from the feeling that's there at the beginning. Now, here's something to mention too. Sometimes hospitals can be places of healing, right? And that's ideally what we want, to go to a hospital to be healed, to leave, right? Though there can also be a lot of grief, there can be a lot of anguish there, even during the healing process. That can be painful. And sometimes that energy does stick behind. So already we're seeing that this can go either way. Sometimes it can even be a mix. I've also done consultations with folks where the spirit that is there has even gained a kind of level of sentience, which we'll get to in a little bit, though it's more like that spirit is a kind of amplification to whatever is being felt by others. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. The reality is though, energy never dies, right? It always goes somewhere. So the more that we can get ahead on figuring out what in the world we're talking about and how to handle it, the more you're going to be able to say, all right, I don't know if this is sentient or not, but the energy isn't really what I want for this room or this place or my car or whatever. So I'm just gonna move it around. Remember, energy has to go somewhere. Everything has to belong somewhere. It's really just a matter of deciding or not whether it belongs with you. All right, so story time. And I feel like a lot of you are going to relate to this in some form or another. So when I first moved to Wilmington, we decided to take a ghost tour. We had no idea that Wilmington was as haunted as it was, but we figured old city, got some haunts in it, let's go. Plus, here's the thing. Ghost tours, even though they may not always be the most factual things out there when it comes to tours, they're always really interesting to take because of the fact that they tend to show the darker side of the history that you're in rather than all the pretty stuff. So just from a former ghost tour guide, I would recommend if you're going to take a ghost tour, do a little bit of research afterwards. If a story really hits you, do some research on it, find out the truth for yourself. Hopefully you find out that what you've been told was entirely the truth, which would lead you to believe in the ghost story entirely. But sometimes it just helps to have a better understanding and context of what in the world is being talked about before totally believing it. It's just out of respect for the spirits too. Anywho, so I don't know anything about Wilmington at this point. Like literally moved here because we were like, this seems cool, we need to change. So we moved. And from there, we were on this ghost tour and we go up to a place called Gallows Hill. At the time, I did not know that's what the nickname was. I just stepped onto the gravel parking lot and nearly threw up. Yeah, and funny, at the time, I did not consider myself very spiritually aware, right? So all the while the ghost tour guide's telling the story, I'm actually hanging on Jay's arm and I'm just sort of like breathing really heavily. I hadn't eaten anything in a little while, so feeling that kind of churning in my gut was strange. Like it just didn't make any sense to me. So I finally hold it down and then I'm walking off and I just feel immediately better once we're off the property. And I tell Jay, I was like, wow, that is so weird. Like I felt like I was going to throw up on that property. Like I could hardly even function. I was like really dizzy and now I'm entirely fine. And that's when the tour guide said that that was normal. They didn't advertise it because they didn't want to prime people and they didn't want to make people potentially feel bad, but yeah. Now that spot does have more to it. There are souls around, there are otherworldly beings around. But here's something to note. That feeling of me just being able to step on the property and feel like that was a thought form energy that was created by what had happened at that location over time. Now, could it have been enhanced by those around me walking by? Sure. But the initial feeling itself, yeah. P.S. for any of you who are wondering, Gallows Hill, exactly as it sounds. There was gallows there. Some things happened. Anyway, here's a different kind of example. So I identify religiously, besides, going down to the river and just like existing there or whatever. My religion is very open-minded, and I want to be sure that as I put this information out there, this is not what's right for everyone. Not everyone's going to vibe with this, okay? And that's the point. I share my experience, not for you to exactly follow exactly what I do, but rather to just kind of do that and do whatever you do feels right. So I would define myself as a polytheistic Quaker. I go with Quaker morals and values, and I am polytheistic. It actually is a thing, and depending on how deep you want to go into Quakerism, some Quakers are Christian and some Quakers are not. It's very deep. I made a video about it if you want to check that out on my YouTube. Anyway, one way that I understood that where I was the first time I walked into my Quaker meeting in Jamestown, North Carolina, was I had this experience of I was on the grounds and I just felt very at ease. And this was before I was really aware of my own energy, how other energies were affecting me. I wasn't aware of hardly any of this, right? And I just get on the grounds and it's like I could breathe. And I couldn't really explain it, but my mom was with me at the time and she was having the same feeling too. And then we walked through the doors, and once again, it's just like this feeling of balance and peace. And that was a time when I was really searching for what was God, what was Christianity. I was coming from a religious background that had been harmful to me, that was based in Christianity. So I really didn't know what I really wanted to adhere to anymore and where I really was. The thing is though, in being in that space, it caused an effect on not just my mom and me, but everybody that was there. There was a kind of slowness, and it didn't feel like impatience. There was a kind of quiet, and it didn't feel like something that needed to be filled. It was just simply a place to be present. And here's the thing, what I want to note with this too is this place is not the only place that I found this. I found this in other religious places, places of meditation. I've even found this in some people's homes, specifically sometimes even in their bedrooms. They want a really chill sort of atmosphere. It's possible to call upon this energy and have it for yourself somewhere in a place that makes you feel safe. So keep in mind, when it comes to thought form spirits, it does take a kind of calling in. Perhaps it takes amount of putting in your energy in order to get it back in a kind of way. Though, remember, with any energy that you're looking to call in, if there's energy already there, sometimes it's just a matter of moving it around and finding out a space that it can be in. And sometimes the easiest way to move energy around is just open a window, open a door. Just imagine the energy moving one way or another, or coming in or moving out. How are these energies created? Well, they can be created by us. They can be created by other spirits. They can be created by situations. If something truly tragic happens in a place, yeah, that can create a thought form spirit, or the kind of energy can grow from there. So does that mean they're all bad? Absolutely not. Remember, you create an energy that you want to exist in. And can they be moved and or broken up? Absolutely. Something to keep in mind though, these energies can grow in sentience. So as they grow in sentience, yeah, you can communicate with them, though they may not speak our vocal language. They may speak in another way. Just keep in mind, the more that something grows, it can help you. It could be kind of like a protective spirit of your home or wherever you're at. Just be sure to recognize that whatever you're growing, you need to be aware of, you need to be in control of it, just so that it doesn't kind of grow without you in a way that you don't want.